Hey, it's Luke from Smokelis, and I just wanted to discuss a few of the key reasons you might be experiencing a smoky fire despite our secondary combustion design smokeless fire pits. The most common mistake we see being made is lighting a small fire in the middle of a big fire pit. So people will buy the 900 diameter fire pit for the purpose of aesthetics, whatever it might be, and then they decide they don't want to use too much wood, or they think they can just, light a few logs and just have a small ambient fire in the center of the fire pit. That's not how these are designed to work. They're a double skin design. Obviously, and proportional to the size of the fire is their efficiency rating or draw rating, so to speak. So based on the size of the fire and how much firewood you can fit in there is how much draw it can create in order to get enough oxygen in there and create that secondary burn. So if you're using it purely for heating and you want that good clean flame, it's best to get a fire pit that suits you in terms of size and heat output primarily, and then aesthetics follows that. And there are solutions for that, such as building surrounds around the fires, whatever it might be, if you want it to look bigger, but you don't want such a big fire in the middle. Obviously, with this beautiful big 900mm version here, we're cooking at the moment, so we're running a very small fire anyway. Obviously, we started with a much bigger fire. We started it properly, used good kindling, got the fire going nice and hot, and then we've let it die down, and we're just adding bits of wood to create enough heat and just to keep our food cooking all day long. We've been doing some beautiful picanha cut into strip steaks here, and a bunch of different veggies. We've done some kebabs, going to hang some chickens later. We'll do some smash burgers, but obviously with that comes fire management, and with fire management comes varying degrees of smoke and draw through the fire pit. Like I said, if you're running it purely for heating, you can get a completely clean burn with the right timbers, and that just involves keeping it running at its efficient rating, and you'll learn about that. You'll discover how your fire works with the different timbers that you're burning and you're using. Also check out our other video or FAQ on the selection of the right firewoods. Other mistake we see quite commonly made is starting the fire the wrong way. So not starting with a good basic kindling, trying to just thinking it's magic, so you can just chuck firewood in there, squirt some lighter fluid on it and get it going, or chuck some newspaper in the bottom and some twigs and some pine cones and she'll be all right. The thing is, you've got to give it a chance basically to get enough heat in there, create that draw, and then you can stoke it up with some bigger chunks of wood. We're burning large splits at the moment, and they're igniting fine because there's so much radiant heat in there, and there's good base of embers going on. But when you first start the fire, it's completely cold. You're asking a tiny little flame from whatever it is, your firelighters or lighter fluid, to ignite big chunks of wood. So be generous, be kind, split them down into small pieces of kindling, 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters or thereabouts. Stack up a little base of kindling. We just use the log cabin method, just 2 this way, 2 that way, 2 this way, 2 that way, and to the top of the fire, chuck a fire starter in the middle, give it 15 minutes, and you'll have a beautiful flame. You can start lighting bigger splits of wood on there. The third and probably most prevalent reason, especially in New Zealand, that we find is using softwoods or burning woods that are barely seasoned, because they burn regardless. So the likes of pine or macrocarpa, they just get going like nobody's business. So you can season them for 6 months after chopping them down, 6 months to a year, and light them and use them. Fine if you're using them in an outdoor fireplace or somewhere where the smoke is ferried away, but they burn black because it's obviously burning the turpentine or the liquid matter in the timber, which ignites very, very easily. And as a result, you'll always get that black smoke. It's non-combustible, so the white smoke is combustible. White smoke coming off the fire, like we can see right now. Obviously, we're not running this super efficiently because we're cooking, so there is a decent amount of white smoke obviously escaping the fire pit. But if you have this loaded up and there's white smoke being produced, it'll mix with the oxygen coming from that second ring of holes and get combusted and burnt up. So those are probably the key reasons we see people struggling with getting their fires clean and running efficiently. But obviously, like I mentioned, when you're cooking, you're going to have some of that smoke anyway. If you don't, typically it's because you've either got too big of a flame and you're basically not going to be able to cook over that.